Hey everybody, I hope you enjoyed my 5 for sale by owner tips that I sent you a couple days ago. Today I actually wanted to talk to you about when you have showings, when you have buyers in your property. Now, normally it's very common to get excited when these things happen, but it's important to remember there are things that you shouldn't say when you have prospective buyers in your home. And I wanted to kind of let you know some of those things that I talk about with my clients in order to help you guys out. And so the first thing I talk about is you don't want to talk about the neighbors at all. You want to make sure that you're letting them form their own opinion about the neighbors. Some neighbors that you don't like, they might like. And so you just want to leave that up to them to be able to decide. You don't want to mention the price that you paid for the property. Now, the odds are if you purchased it more than 3 years ago, you have substantial equity in your property, and they don't need to know that, right? Let the value of the neighborhood speak for itself, because that's the purchase price that we're asking for. Regardless of what we paid 5 years ago, 7 years ago, it doesn't necessarily mean that you're willing to give all that money back to them so they can get a great deal. It doesn't make sense. When you guys are talking, and it's very common that you guys are going to be talking during these showings, is don't talk about repairs. If it's a house, it's had work done on it before, you want to make sure that you're not discussing the repairs that you've had done. Now, if they ask specifically what repairs you've had done, you want to make sure you give them a very high level answer to that problem. So if you've had plumbing work done, you say that you had a plumber come in and fix this problem. You don't need to go into details about what type of materials they use and things like that. You yourself are not a plumber, so you probably won't have those details. Now, if you are a plumber, that doesn't apply. Another thing I want to talk about is, oddly enough, don't talk about the things you don't like in the home. I know that sounds silly, but every home has quirks. Your house might have something that you don't like about it, but it may be a huge selling point for them. So by throwing things out there that they're not even thinking about or something that they like, and you put it in a negative perspective, can really damage a possible offer. So make sure you don't talk about that. And then another thing you want to talk about, and this is number 5 on the list, is don't talk about the unrecognized square footage. And so if you have an addition on your property, like a sunroom or something like that, that you haven't included in the square footage, don't bring it up. When you bring up things like that, they see that there's a possibility that permits weren't pulled correctly, and then they have to do more research, and it can be very intimidating for a buyer who's trying to process all of this information at once. And so it's best to leave it, let it track out throughout the process to figure out if it's needed or it's not needed. But we definitely don't want to be talking about it when we're just showing the home. The 6th thing is don't mention any current issues that need repairs. Now, in the state of South Carolina, you do have to have a property disclosure with any sale of a property. If you don't have one, I'll be happy to give you one. Just let me know that you need one. And that is what we're disclosing to people who are looking at the property. When we're there, we don't want to talk about things about the property that are issues, right? If you have a leak in the master bathroom, then you just have a leak in the master bathroom. It's on the property disclosure. They need to look at that themselves. Right? It's on you to disclose it, but the burden is on them to look into it. And so make sure that it is listed in your property disclosure to remain compliant with any laws, but don't talk about it during the showings. Let's go to number 7, and this one is a really, really big one. So if you're not listening, I want you to pay close attention here. All right, I'm gonna lean in. Don't negotiate when they're seeing the home. When you guys are walking through the property, maybe the first or the second time, that's not the time to negotiate on price. The time to negotiate on price is once they've offered you something. Then you want to start negotiations. But you're doing yourself a disservice if you try to negotiate a price while you're there. I know it's very tempting. We're very excited to have buyers in our property. Let them see it, let them chew on it, and then say, hey, have a great day. Send me your offers if you're interested. This way you guys can negotiate on documents and make sure that you are making a reasonable decision and you're not just excited to move. Speaking about deciding to move, don't discuss how quickly you need to move. Now, everyone's got somewhere to go once their property hits the market, right? You might be moving to Arizona, you might be moving in-state, but maybe to a different school zone or something like that. But we don't need to tell our buyers why we're moving, right? The only thing that's going to do is give them reason to send us lowball offers. And so when you're getting ready to sell your house, and they say, oh, where are you heading? Oh, I'm heading here. You can make casual conversation, but don't tell them why. Don't tell them deadlines. Don't tell them dates. Because if they see it, those lowball offers are going to come in and you're doing yourself an injustice by getting a lowball offered price. And the last and final thing I want to talk about is actually kind of funny. Don't talk to buyers at all. If it's possible, if you can just show your property, if they have a realtor with them, leave. Let them see the property, right? By removing you out of the equation, you are no longer the homeowner then they're not guests in your house. They're seeing themselves in their house. And that's really important, right? If you can put them in the property and they can imagine it and they can see where they're going to put Susie's play set and they can see where Jeff's chair is going to go in the kitchen when he eats dinner. Like that stuff is really important for a buyer to see. And when we're there, when we're talking to them, it's our house and they feel like guests. So if you can remove yourself completely, if you can't, try not to talk to them too much, let them feel comfortable in your home. And then of course, if there is some conversation, just make sure you keep those 8 tips in mind that I had said before. Hope you guys found this information helpful or very beneficial. We spent a little bit of time working on it together with me and some of the agents here in the office. We want to make sure that you have a better idea on how to sell your property if that's how you want to move forward. And so if you guys do have specific questions about this, you can always feel free to text me. I'd be happy to answer any questions you have. And I look forward to talking to you soon. I hope you guys have the best time selling your home. And I'm Jonathan Tiedemann with Century 21, and I'll talk to you soon.